In this video, I am going to share with you why I don't buy silver and gold overseas any longer and why you should also be very cautious yourself. How you doing, everybody? Welcome to Empire Precious Metals. Thank you so much for tuning in. Today I wanted to share with you some experiences that I've had from buying overseas. This is from companies like New Zealand Mint as well as LPM. Now, I don't have anything against these companies. I do have an issue though with the entire process in which it takes to actually receive my precious metals when I place an order with these companies. Now, I know I've spoken about this before. I don't recall if I've ever made a dedicated video about this topic, but I was recently talking to some friends within the stacking community over the phone about my experiences of buying online through companies overseas, and they also have had their fair share of horror stories that have completely screwed up their orders, orders being completely lost, any sort of profits that were going to be made from reselling some of these orders have been completely shot, which is something that happened to me. So let's just dive right into companies like LPM. LPM is a major retailer. They are based out of Hong Kong. I know within the stacking community, some people might take an issue with this. I have no issue with the company LPM. The difficulty though that I do have with LPM is when it comes to customer service. The problem is being that they are in Hong Kong, you have the time zone difference. And I remember one time I did call them about an order, and it was like a 20-minute phone call, and it cost a ton of money. I forget the exact amount for that call for 20 minutes, but it was something like, I want to say like $80. I mean, something astronomically high, just because I was double checking and confirming a particular order that I had placed with them. Now, the issue that I had with New Zealand Mint, they make a ton of collectible coins that a lot of those items that they make, I sell here in the United States on YouTube and Instagram. Now, one time they were selling these Han Solo and carbonite silver bars, and I had purchased quite a few of these. I purchased one wave of them, sold out relatively quickly, so I bought another wave of these silver bars. And what ended up happening is one shipment got held up at FedEx. Now, I forget the exact reason as to why my shipment was held, but I know that it is something that is done at random, and unfortunately I got the shaft on this one. FedEx ended up holding a shipment for, I would say, at least a month. There's a bunch of problems with that. Number one, if silver starts to tank, right? This was an order that I placed on these highly collectible silver bars. If the price of silver starts to tank, even though I paid those higher premiums, people expect that the price of those silver items are going to also drop. And unfortunately, that's not the case, not with these types of items. And so that was hurting me, right? The silver price was coming down, and so I was losing money on that in that regard. The second issue that I had too was that the silver items that I had purchased, these Han Solo and carbonite bars, I bought directly from the New Zealand Mint. And so I was like one of the few that got these initial bars first, and then eventually all the other online retailers like an Atmex, Bold Precious Metals, maybe JM Bullion, I can't remember, but these other online retailers here in the States, they start picking up these specialty items themselves, right? They buy from these mints and then they mark those items up themselves. So while my stuff was sitting in jail for about a month, I was watching my existing client base start to buy up those items from other sources. They see the Han Solo and carbonite bar and they're like, oh my God, that's so cool. And they go online, they find the cheapest place possible, and then they buy it. They're not going to buy another one. And now I was just out of that sale because my items are being held and I can't fulfill that demand. I don't have the items to sell. So that was the other issue. The other issue that I faced though were the fees that I had to pay in order to get my items out of jail. It was like $130. And when you are talking already about a very high premium collectible item, and your margins are already small as it is, because you know, if there was like, I'm thinking it's like the 3-ounce bars that I had purchased, and they were going for around like $250, $300. I forget the exact amount, but that's a lot of money for a silver item, right? When you're talking $300 for a 3-ounce item, essentially you're talking $100 per ounce, and a lot of people have an issue with that. And so now, being that my margins were already going to be slim, like maybe $310, $315 on that $300 item, Okay, now I'm paying $130 on all of these items to get them out of jail. So essentially, I ended up losing money because of this. And so I vowed ever since that happened, I don't care what the coin is. I don't care how cool the coin is. I don't care that it's only being sold on LPM or on New Zealand Mint's site. I am not going to buy an item from overseas because of this scenario that happened. And I've heard it happened to a bunch of other people within the stacking community, and it can really, really screw things up for you, especially if you are a reseller. In my opinion, it makes more sense to then buy that item here already from, let's say, like an APMEX or a Bold or JM or whatever, who have that item in hand here on American soil, pay a little bit more of a premium, and then when you go to sell the item, you're going to have less of a profit, but you don't have that whole headache that I had. And I also was on the phone with FedEx for something like 2 hours, 2.5 hours. I didn't understand anything that was going on. They were asking me all sorts of questions. I had no idea what the heck they were even asking me. I mean, it was a major, major pain. So I can't express to you enough. You're going to see, especially on Instagram, some of these overseas companies posting their exclusives on Instagram. They'll say, for sale now, the Greek gods of Olympus or whatever. And you're going to be very tempted to buy these items. But keep in mind that you do run the risk of getting your items seized at the border or at customs, and then you have to go through this whole process in order to get them out. Especially if you are a reseller, then this is a major red flag. So companies like LPM and New Zealand Mint, again, I have nothing wrong with those companies. I think they operate just fine. But the whole problem with customs and the whole international shipping is a major problem, which is also part of the reason why I don't really do a lot of international shipping for my channel, with the except few who I've grandfathered in. So anyway, let me know in the comments down below, have you ever faced an issue with LPM or New Zealand Mint or any other overseas company before? Have you ever had something like this happen to you? And if so, let us know your story in the comments down below.